streaming, how's it hanging, how's it happening? You guys know this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast, Rolling Stone Magazine says, initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, allowing fans to discover the creative workflow of their favorite musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are all sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. Get $100 off your entire building code pod at darkfusionsystems.com. Link shown from the podcast below. Let's go to feature presentation. Last year, earlier in the year, we had Rosecolored on the podcast. And right after we initially recorded them, State of the Scene reposted one of their songs. And since then, the band has just been continuing to grow. New record label, working with Tom Denny, going out on tour, opening on a slot for Sum 41 one night, and continuing to grow. And it's all based off of the band not relenting on learning and continuing to trust themselves. As you will see on their brand new EP, we talk about Beauty of the Breakdown coming out in 2025. Addison and Rae are here, so let's catch up with them and show you how great their music continues to be. Are you ready? Let's go! Yeah! Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast, I had these two lovely humans on the podcast back in 2023, and I've been continuing to follow the band ever since, seeing them grow, seeing them get even better. And since that time, not only have they signed with Velocity Records, which is huge, but they've been releasing new music that has been produced by one of everybody's favorite producers, Mr. Tom Denny. You remember him from A Day to Remember, and you know when he touches something, it's going to be good. And you know these singles that they've been releasing and the future singles they're going to release are still just as good as well. Plus, if you want to see him play live, they'll be touring with Not My Weekend in November of 2024, so be sure to go see him play live because you're going to want to. Seriously, you're going to want to. But enough of me talking. Let's talk with them. So please welcome back Addison and Rae from Rose-Colored World to the Chord Progression Podcast. So to the two of you, welcome back.
Hey.
Happy to be here.
Happy to have you both back. How has life been treating you over the past year and a half since we last had a chance to sit down and have a little chit-chat?
It's great. I feel like so much has happened since we last
What
spoke.
a whirlwind. Yeah, it's been...
So when did we talk exactly? Do we know? Because you're good with dates.
I am good with dates.
Do you want me to look it up really quickly? Because I always keep a running track of like the day I release the podcast and the day I always like have them scheduled so we can really go back and
I would love to know just so that we like what happened.
If it's an easy access
yeah.
thing, if not, like it's totally chill. But
oh,
yeah,
it's gonna be easy access. Trust me. Let me just find it.
Love the organization over on your end, man. That's awesome.
The last time we would have talked, the day we would have talked would have been February 13th of 2023.
Okay, so that's like right before everything happened.
Wow.
Literally everything. Yeah.
So what you're saying is like I got to talk to you guys right before everything took off. So coincidence?
Yeah, maybe, man. So the last time we spoke, we had Spit Me Out as the last single that was out.
So we didn't put out Bloodbath yet.
No, we had not put out Bloodbath yet. But what's crazy is that February, at the end of February, there was a tweet that like went viral that we didn't tweet. It was actually by State of the Seed podcast.
Shout out State.
Oh yeah.
We love y'all.
And they were like, LOL, like, or laughing my ass off, this band is going to be huge. And what they didn't realize is that it would get, over 200,000 views in like 24 hours. And then our manager's getting hit up. And so literally it was
we would have signed with STG already.
No, we didn't.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. That was on the 22nd. So a week after we talked to you, we signed for booking. We had the tweet that went, but like everything like actually happened, which is really cool.
And then by that tweet getting us our agent, then we got our label because the owner of our agency is Dave Shapiro and he owns Velocity. So it all was like one thing.
This is so cool. We literally talked to you right before like the domino fell for a lot of momentum to happen. So this is really cool for us too in our journey here.
It's cool to be able to go back and think about that. But when you brought up the tweet from State of the Scene, it just unlocked something in my brain because I had not really even, we recorded the episode, but I hadn't put it out yet because I was still working on it. And I saw that tweet go out and just seeing the reception on it, the viewership on it, the reaction to it, it was one of the coolest things ever to see something from a band that I just talked to get that spark and get that first like domino effect moment, and to come from a tweet off of a great song and to see more momentum pick up from it. I still remember smiling when I first saw that tweet. I'm like, finally, someone's picking up on great music, because we all want to, push out, all want to find what's new, all want to discover what's coming next. And I remember listening to Spit It Out, and I thought, this is something that has a lot of potential, and I hope people start picking up on it. And then like 10 days later, boom, there's that tweet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like, so.
Yeah, we can't thank you enough for being an early supporter in the band, so appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, it's all based on the fact that you guys make some kick-ass music, and after talking with you, I'm like, kick-ass music from great people? Come on. What could be better?
Man.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate that.
So then beyond the tweet, after that first domino effect, and after getting, booking agents, signing with the label, what has all happened after that up until this point? Because there's got to be much more to the story than just that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a bucket list crazy moment was in January. We got to open for Sum 41, and it was just us and them on a bill in San Diego, and it was just bonkers because they're such a band that shaped the culture, that shaped a lot of the sound, that and lyrically, like what Derek does, and it's just really amazing that we got the opportunity to share a stage with them.
Yeah, and to start the year that way, it was like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was a big shift,
Oh, absolutely. I've seen other bands too that have come on the podcast where they get that one moment where they get to open for a huge band that's been influential for them and really be able to get in front of a lot more people that way. And when it comes to Sum 41, especially starting out your year like that, but us all knowing at that point that this is Sum 41's last run, there's even more eyes and ears that are going to be on that. More attention's going to not only be put on that show itself, but also, okay, who are the openers on that show? How are they going to connect with the fans? And are the fans going to find someone that they absolutely love? Seeing you both and the rest of the band as well go and play with Sum 41, I mean, it's a perfect connection, perfect combination right there from what you would be able to do with your music and then lead into Sum 41. People not only would have been amped up for Sum 41, but they would have found a band that they're going to absolutely love going forward that's going to evoke similar emotions that Sum 41 did, but in a completely new way.
Damn, well, thank you for saying that. I'm like, it was a surreal moment. I feel thankful, like, since that moment, we've gotten to meet a lot of really cool, bands that have been killing it in the scene for a while, and been getting to go to a lot of shows side stage and just like taking in and taking notes and learning and continuously being a student now that it almost feels like we got the opportunity to be in the major leagues, and it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do with it now that you're here? And I'm very thankful to just be rocking every day.
Yeah, we've just been working super hard, writing, touring, and having fun, and just staying true to what we want to make and what we like. And yeah, it's been awesome.
Well, that's the key as to why, not only did Spit It Out get picked up on that tweet from State of the Scene, but you guys getting picked up by your booking agent, by the record label, getting on that Sum 41 show, and then continuing to get even bigger and book more tours throughout the rest of 2024. It's because you got your chance and you're learning so much from it, but you got that chance because of the music that you've already created and who you are as musicians and people as well. So to build up on that, like you said, Addison and Rae, you're both taking a look at this stuff. You're both being able to see what's going on stage, backstage. You're seeing how all this is working in the majors and taking it all in, learning from it, and opening yourselves up to the experience of what could be even further, so that when you're on stage, how can you employ that? How can you employ that all during your shows while still making sure you're making the music that you want to make and that is truly connected to you, so that you can continue to not only grow from that professional standpoint of the live show and seeing how things are done in the business, but still from that creative standpoint that not only absolutely evokes that passion within both of you, but is something that still connects with so many fans that are not only loving Rose-Colored World now, but are getting to know them in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, watching like we got to play with the Dangerous Summer all summer. We were out with those guys and Bad Luck, which they rip as well. They're a band from Brooklyn, a rock band, and they kill it. And watching them, being around them, just the essence of who they are, it definitely rubbed off on us. And it was something that we got to take back to LA with us, whether it's like the writing or just how we set up our merch table. It's just we're constantly co-creating all of this music, through each other and through the experiences that we have. So it was really a sick experience going out with those guys.
So now going out with all these bands, also the show is Sum 41 as well, and being able to sit side stage for so many of these shows to really study how other bands are doing it as students. What are some of the biggest things and most important things that you've learned over the past year from just being on tour, being on the road, and being with so many great bands?
I think the biggest thing for me was it hit me when we were watching Pierce the Veil side stage, and I was like, oh, everyone on stage is just doing their job at the highest level. And I took that on tour, and by the end of the tour, it felt that way. It was like each one of us are on stage doing what we're supposed to at the highest level. And that feels like something I've never felt in my whole career. Just like being that tight as a band, the show is just feeling super good. Like, all the movements you're going to do. Obviously there's some improv, but like you kind of it happens like instinctively where like you map out certain moves, right, that you do on stage at different times. But that was the biggest takeaway from me, I think, that it was like, oh, these guys are the same as us, just doing it on a bigger stage. And that was really cool to
Yeah,
see.
totally.
Let's say, Ray, what about you? What was probably the biggest or most important thing you learned just over the past year, being able to watch and study these bands, how they work?
I'll say two different things. One is about touring and one is about the show itself.
Okay.
About the show itself, it's not about us. It's about the energy in the space and what it's doing to the crowd. And it's about having the connection in that way. And if you have that be the forefront, which is like, why are we doing this to begin with? And not like, look at me, I'm up on this thing, but I'm here to connect. I'm here to change the vibration of the space. I'm here so that we could be homies after this 30-minute or 45-minute experience. That's like the soul, like heartbeat of what it is we're doing. And then when it comes to the touring side, I had a really sick conversation with Josh, who's in the Dangerous Summer one night. It was an off night. We were in New Orleans, and he's done like 7 Warped tours. He's done so many different things. And I was like, man, like not like what's the secret, but like, what do I need to know here? And he was like, man, the only thing that's the most important thing is that you make it to the show, that you make it to the next show. Like, don't get like caught on the small stuff. Like, we get to do this thing. And it was like after the second show, I think, of the tour, or maybe 3, and it just stuck with me for like the rest of the 20 shows, which was like, don't get caught on, like, we had generator issues, and it was our first like 6-week tour where whatever could go wrong kind of did. And you have to roll with the punches. It's not really.
We always say that. We're like, okay, well, we got to get to the show.
Yep.
Got to get to the show.
Exactly.
I think just from the 2 points that you said, Ray, and the point that you said, Addison, they all kind of really amalgamate together in the most important thing is when it comes to the show is not being, the most important person on stage, but creating that shared experience that so many people are going to connect with. Think about all the bands that we love, the bands that we've gone to see play live, and the shows that we just instinctively remember. We remember them because of the atmosphere that was there. We remember that because of how the crowd interacted with the band, how the band interacted with the crowd, how the music turned this whole entire room full of people into an atmosphere of pure euphoria. Whether you are absolutely just jamming out, having a blast, whether you're absolutely trying to kill everyone in the mosh pit and everyone's enjoying themselves, or anything in between. So by having your focus in on not only creating that atmosphere, but making it the most important thing for the people that are in that room instead of the most important thing for you at that moment, it makes people connect so much more to the music. And Addison, what you said as well, where learning how to play at the utmost, like umpteenth degree at the best possible you can and do your job to the best and the maximum that you can to make sure that that experience that the fans are having is top notch. It all comes together to make sure that going forward, Rose Colored World is going to be a band that you want to see live because you are guaranteed to have that moment where you're going to go see them live and the energy and the euphoria in the room is going to be something that is going to be positive and positively impact you going forward, whether it's the next day, next couple of days, the rest of your life, whatever it may be. But that is a very important lesson to learn that so many bands, especially on the younger side, fail to ever realize. But the bands that are at top of their game, they realize all that and they hit on it every single time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, what you just said. We're fans first, right? So like we love seeing good live music. And the difference between a good show and a bad show is just that, right? Whether it feels too plastic or if it's not rehearsed or, you know, just it's everything. It's like that same feeling of like when you go to a stand-up comedy show, the difference between an amateur stand-up and then like the pro dude, it's palpable. And that just comes from stage time. That just comes from, you know, like we're talking about taking it in, being a student, not thinking we're the best or any of that shit. And I think you put all that together because we want to create the best environment and energy for the fans and whoever doesn't know us. We were playing somewhere in Texas, and after we played, the homie came up to the merch booth and he was like, I wasn't even coming to the show. Like I was just walking by and I heard you guys on stage. So I bought a ticket.
Dude, that Dallas show was insane because when we looked, because we were the opener, we weren't direct support or anything on that. And so you never know. It's like a mixed bag. Like sometimes it's a packed room. Maybe there was a meet and greet. Maybe that city hits hard or maybe it's not. And so Dallas seemed like it was going to be a little bit of slim pickings. And we were like, you know what?
And I had my oldest friend there.
Yeah, we were like, we're going to rip it. And like, we're going to do it like this room's packed. Like we are going, like we get to do this thing and we're just going to do what we do. And by the middle, all of a sudden everyone's up at the front. Like there's more and more people coming through the door. Like people were really connecting to it, like throwing themselves on the stage. And I was like, wow, I thought this was going to be a wash. And like, look at what the energy kind of created here. I mean, a grown man was crying in my arms at the end of the night. Like it was just insane, like beautiful when we thought that. And so it's like, you got to go into it. Like I go into every show.
A grown man was crying.
He was crying in my arms. And I was like,
way that you said
it's so beautiful that like music can do this to people that like he had no idea who I was 30 minutes before that. You know what I mean? Like that is magic. That like, who knows what space he's in or was in before that to be able to like have that effect. And the guy who walked in who didn't know we were, he's buying merch and we're taking pictures and he's like, I'll be back next time. And that's what it's all about, is spreading. And Rose Colored World, what it's all about is like creating that in all these different cities. And
I'm super excited about this next tour because it's going to be the first time that we're going to see now those people that got introduced to us last time and had the last, 4 months to now listen to the music and come back and bring some friends. And that's going to be really cool because I've never experienced that.
That's going to be something that's going to be a completely new but also euphoric experience as well for you. Because think about it, as you've gone through times with the band, as you've grown, you've gone through all these different little milestones that have absolutely just impacted and brought this positivity. Whether it was, hey, we're playing our first show. Hey, we're playing our first show outside of LA. Hey, we're on our first tour. Hey, we're going to be playing a show with Sum 41. It's those small little milestones that keep popping up that always excite you, and you're still finding excitement every single time you're able to go out there and potentially have every show on this next tour be like that Dallas show. You never know what might happen. Yeah, of course, you're going to have people that show up again from the previous tour. You're going to have them bring their friends as well, but it's going to be something of you have that. You have the ability to impact them and allow them to also enhance the experience of everyone that's seeing you live for the first time. So my main question then is, how many friends am I expected to bring when I get to go see you play live on this run?
But man, whoever is supposed to be there with you.
I love that. Yeah. Whoever feels like throwing down that day.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see what I can make happen, because I was looking at the dates. I'm like, alrighty, is there a Milwaukee date on there? I was like, oh, darn. Is there a Chicago date on there? Well, there should be, and there is.
Yes. Is that close? I don't know anything about geography, so sorry.
So Chicago is like typically around like, it's like 90 miles south of Milwaukee, so it's like an hour and a half drive.
Oh,
2
that's not
hours
terrible.
because of traffic, and because it's always Chicago. But the amount of times I've gone down to Chicago to see shows on like even a weekday just because I felt like it, pretty high.
Okay.
Well, let us know if you're going to come, and we'll
Sorry,
get you in. Yeah. Because you're the homie. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, guys. Because I think that show is, I think it's November 15th is that one. I want to say.
I believe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, so also a little PSA out there for everybody. If you're in, the upper Midwest, the Chicago area, or anything within 100 miles of that, and you want to make sure you're going to see a good show that's going to bring a lot of positive euphoria your way, go see Rose Colored World on November 15th, because, shoot, I got to get me a ticket. I got to be there too. I got to see what happens. I got to see the music move somebody so much that there's a grown man crying in Ray's arms, and myself probably crying in Addison's arms like, I can't believe this is real.
Fuck, that's so beautiful, though, for real. Wow.
Yeah, it was a moment.
I still can't believe that moment happened, but I can at the same time too, because that's just the power of music. Music can give us the ability to absolutely feel so positive or feel so emotional and actually realize certain things about ourselves that we never thought, because the music moves us in a certain way that connects us to that moment, or moments in life that we may have pushed down a little bit. And now we get to experience those in the light that we should. That's the power of music, and that's where you get moments where people walk in just because they heard the sound, they thought it was cool, or someone connects with it so deeply, they get so emotional, end up crying in your arms and feel something that they haven't felt maybe in years.
Yeah, do you want to?
No, I was just gonna say that one of the most commented comment is on our TikTok videos is, they haven't felt this or heard something like this in a long time, or it itched a part of their brain they didn't know they needed to be itched. And I think that's so cool, because like when we're writing our music, we're not thinking about that. We're literally writing the music that's flowing out of us. And to do that to anyone, because when that happens to me, it's like the best feeling ever. It like puts you in a different place that you missed, but you've never heard the song before.
It blows my mind that anybody feels that way about anything that we're making, because we're making it right in this room. Like, we're making it right in our space. Like, we're not, I don't know how to explain it. Like, we're literally just sitting here being like goofballs and like playing musical ping pong all day long and making these songs and then putting them into the world in the way that we feel like they should live. So when people are like connecting to it, like I connected to Sum 41 or Addison, I know did with Simple Plan and Blink-182, and so some of these bands, to see people's like visceral reactions to it, it almost is like we're not able to fully comprehend it, but we're insanely grateful for it, for sure.
And even like you said, Sum 41, Simple Plan, Blink-182 that evoke the emotions for you. I think about the same way as well. Listening to Rise Against, there are certain songs that get me in those absolute moments as well. Earlier at the end of September, I got to see Polaris play, and they played my favorite song by them. And in the pit, even my friends afterwards, like, you're going to kill us at Louder Than Life if you get anywhere close to that moment, because something just clicked in my brain, and it was the emotion of the song, plus me just wanting to go nuts at the same time. It absolutely hit. But one thing I'm absolutely always love about this podcast and loving to interview bands is I get to listen to music, and I get to discover this stuff that maybe not a lot of people have yet, but absolutely connects with me in some sort of a deeper way that makes me sit back, makes me think, and makes me feel something maybe positive or more empathetic or more understanding of just life around me. And listening to the recent singles that you've released, the song All We Had was one that after listening to one time, I thought, something's hitting me right inside here. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm feeling something about this. I listened to it again and again and again. And then it finally hit. I'm like, wow,
Damn.
this is beautiful. But it all is based off of you both and the rest of me, musical ping pong back and forth, trying these ideas out and just letting yourself create the music you want. Because it's that connection, that chemistry, and that positivity that you both bring to life in the music is what connects us to it, and which is where you get those moments where the atmosphere picks up at the live show. The atmosphere picks up within ourselves as well, and we feel that positivity, whether it's more on the happier side, more on the emotional side, but we feel it when we listen to Rose-Colored World.
Damn, I'm so glad that you connected to that one, because that was one of our favorites for the EP that will be out at the beginning of next year. So we've just been releasing singles, until that moment, and we're already working on the full length. But going back to All We Had, that one was a big one for us, where we were like most excited to.
That was
really
the first
put that out.
one we collaborated with Tom
Denny,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was kind of also through like that tweet. Like I said, all of a sudden it was like the domino, and then it was like the next domino. It was like a crazy month, and we've been kind of in that same momentum ever since then, with everything happening. And we ended up jumping on the phone with Tom, and I want to say the day before, or maybe 2 days before, we had started the idea. We had it flushed out to the point where we were like, okay, hey man, we're gonna send you this thing. Like, we don't know if you're gonna think it's good at all or anything, but and he was like, send me the stems, like, let's work on this, and that made me and Ad super excited. A Day to Remember was like one of the first hardcore bands I was ever exposed to when I was 15, and I was like, what is this? This is mental. So like, it's surreal. It's a trip.
It definitely is, because when even listening to the song, I can tell a little bit of like the Tom Denny, flavor gets put in there a little bit, especially from the producer side of things, but it amplifies the song in a way that is absolutely needed. So being able to work with someone not only who understands what you're trying to go for, and understands the ideas that you're working on, but also someone who was a part of something that you absolutely connected to back when you were 15 years old. It's a whole, full circle moment for not only your younger self to achieve something that you really always wanted to achieve, but also for your current self to continue to build up on your music and discover people who also understand what you're going for and can understand how to amplify it, so that not only does it come out even better, but connects with people on a much easier level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Tom was very good at taking what we did, not changing it or like replacing it without the magic. So a lot of producers that we've worked with separately and together, a lot of times they're producing for themselves and not for the song, just like a player does, and that's not everyone. Of course, there's amazing producers like Tom, but Tom is just concerned with the song like we are. We're always about the best for the song. And getting the songs back from Tom, it was always like, yeah, here's like a couple notes and we're good here. And it's been so pleasant. He's become a good friend of ours. During the negotiation process with the record deal and on our first tour, I'd talk to him and just ask him for advice, because he's been through it all. And he was super helpful and kind through it all. So he's a great dude.
It seems like you both found a friend for life just through this moment of working with Tom on new music, but also being able to connect with him in so many other facets of the music business to discover what's best. But I think you said it best, Addison, when you said that when it comes to a producer, you want to work with a guy like Tom, he's in it for the song. He's not in it to produce it for him, like what he wants it to be. Where there are producers that are like that. Of course, this isn't the perfect world where everyone's just trying to make the best song possible for what is there, instead of the best song that's going to make them the most money or going to sound the best, when it takes away from the creative vision. But when you have producers like that, it amplifies exactly what you're looking for, and it adds to the magic of what the song really is, because they also bring in an outside perspective of the idea that you're working with, but they can see where the idea comes from the core, what you're trying to present, what you're trying to produce. It's all about, how does this specific sound connect on a bigger level? Can we make it grander so that it absolutely hits people on that emotional standpoint, whether it's for the positive, whether it's for more of the melancholic side, whether it's for more of the thoughtfulness or the actual like looking inward feel of it. There's so many ideas that you can work with, but having a producer that's going to think about the song itself and how the idea that you have can be amplified to make sure that it hits every aspect that you're looking for, then you found someone that really cares about it and is going to help you further down the line than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, I was just thinking back to the songs, and like each song, he did different stuff. Like there's been songs that he didn't really add that much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he mixed it and made it sound bigger and wider and whatever. And then there were songs where he added guitars and he
there's some where
retracked my bass, you know?
There's some where like we've left a bridge open and just been like, hey, what would you do here? And then, then hearing that and it evoking a whole other thought process and then being like, oh, well, we could write this now that it has this breakdown here.
Hanging On by a Thread specifically, we left blank in the bridge and we're like, do your thing. He sent that breakdown back
and
then
like,
we wrote, the rest over it. And it was a sweet collaboration that I look forward to continuing for our first LP.
Oh, I absolutely hope you continue on with that because, again, you have somebody that sees the vision, but also someone that is absolutely willing to work with you, whether it's just, all right, here's the ideas behind it. This is what I think is going to work. Or this is really good the way it is. We just need to make sure it's mixed right to really hit the way it needs to hit. But leaving the breakdown open, the bridge open for Hanging On by a Thread and letting Tom run with it, that collaboration really shows exactly what he sees in you as a band, but also how he understands you as a band, what you're going for, and how to amplify that in a way that maybe if you're stuck on, he can bring in his ideas and really show what it is, but also not go so far out of the way where it turns what the song is into something different and turns the sound that you've cultivated with Rose-Colored World into something that's, more again the experimental side that you might not be trying to go for at that moment.
Yeah. And there's been times in my career and our career where we worked with a producer and or a collaborator, and you get to a point where it's done and you go, I don't like it better than the demo. And we've gotten to a place where we really are following our gut and instincts, and uncomfortable conversations just sometimes are part of this game, which I used to avoid. Still hate them, but if we're really truly putting the art first, then sometimes that has to happen.
A commitment that a few years ago I made to myself as an artist was I really respect and trust my own taste. And I know, and Addison's right as a collaborator. And so if it doesn't do the thing where I'm like, play it again, like, holy shit, we have to call our, like, let's go drive around and listen to it. Like, if it doesn't do that, that's okay, but it probably won't make it out of the gate until we do feel like that. And then sometimes, we move to the next one and that's okay. It's like, you got to get those out sometimes.
What has to be like, fuck yes.
Yeah. Like, because there's moments where this one ballad we're writing for the record, I started writing it on bass. I don't really play bass, but after watching AJ every night play bass and sing, I was like, I guess I'm gonna write a song playing bass. And so this expression came out, and it's now part of the ballad for the record. And when
I didn't like Spit Me Out.
Yeah, when it was coming out, or when I was showing Ad, he was like, it's cool. And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, it's magic. It's got this thing. And then, after
I like it more than you.
Yeah, now I think he's gotten to the point where he likes it more than me. So it's funny how that works. And also both of us just being patient. But if somebody is like, hella, like, I feel with all the fiber in my being, you got to at least see it through to the other side.
I think that when you said that, Ray, it reminded me of something from the first conversation that we had. And it was right around that, too, when it came to trusting your own tastes, not only as a musician yourself, but as a collaborator with each other. Because if you're not jazzed about it, if you're not psyched about it, then it's not really going to work. But if you're letting other people come in and influence so much of what you're doing and you're not going to trust your own taste, then your expression's not going to come out. Your creativity is not going to come out. And the music that you really want to make is not going to be the final product. Beyond that, thinking about our first conversation, look at that moment in time. February 13th, 2023 is when we recorded it. And you still continued throughout that time to trust your taste, to trust what you like, and to trust your own process, either as individual songwriters and as collaborators as well. But look at what's happened from February 13th till now. So much positivity, and so much of it is derived straight from the music because you have trusted yourselves, you have continued to trust your own taste, what you like, and this is what we're getting right now. And it's absolutely incredible. There's no better way to say it. It is absolutely incredible what we're getting.
Yeah, I think I'm still just like shocked that people like us. Like a few weeks ago, there was like a turn on TikTok in a positive way, and we're being shown to way more people that don't know us, and to feel that love back when we're not on tour, seeing it there, and it's just really all beautiful to see it growing, and our community is just growing, and it's really sick.
It just keeps growing, and especially with the new music coming out with as well, just seeing how it hits and how it's going to hit people as well once they hear it, especially the ones that haven't heard it. It's just going to continue to grow because really diving deep into all we had, like I was really listening to this yesterday, the day that I came back from Louisville, Flower and Life with 2 of my buddies that live here and now 4 friends that live in Atlanta, Georgia. We all stayed together, and all I could think about when listening to it was just the positive times that we had and how we didn't care about anything for those 4 days. All we cared about was what was in the moment, and when we were together, we just cared about having fun. We cared about being with each other because it's the only time of year we get to all be together and just be goofballs. And not think about the what ifs in life or what's going to look like on social media or what I have to worry about at work the next day when I get back. It's all about just accepting life as is. And if that's all we had, then, if all we have is ourselves, then that's a great life. If we trust ourselves, we have a great life. And I just thinking about, I didn't care about anything except being myself and having a good time with the people that were around me. Of course, there's other things going on in the world. But if I keep thinking about those what ifs, it would have taken me away from the present. It would have taken me away from that moment. And it's just like accepting life as is. There's things that can change, there's things that can't change. But the fact that I had a great time, I still have that. And if that's all I have for the rest of the year, then so be it. Because it was such a great time and it made me think about it.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of present moments due to the anxiety of going down the holes mentally. So I get it. I try to surrender every day to being in that present moment and just taking it all in.
I'm so glad the song made you feel that way, because that is exactly the intention of how it was written in this room, was that it felt like everything was in the moment was going a million miles an hour. And that time was just continuing on. And so it's like the verses are like, would you panic if this was to happen? Would you panic? Like all these different scenarios, with the hook being the constant of, if this is all we ever had, would that be enough for all of us to just like be happy? Like you said, if that's all I get to have, at least you have the present, at least you have these gifts. And I think that's something that I hope to share with people, and that we hope to share with people, that what we're creating when we have these live shows, or when you're listening to these songs, is it's just a moment in time that you get to be 100% you and connected to whatever that is, where you're not thinking about your bills or your bullshit or that, like you said, the social media, the next day stuff.
That's what shows are for.
That's what shows are for. And that's what music is for. And so I'm glad that we were able to encapsulate it in that song, and that you got to feel the same emotion of why we wrote it to begin with.
Oh, you absolutely did. And the beauty behind that too is just how the song progresses, because you see the verses and the pre-chorus, it has a little more of that faster pace to it. and you're expecting maybe something a little bit more faster paced when you get to the chorus, but that chorus really makes it a lot more melodic to make you kind of take that hit to the chest, take a step back and think, wait, am I moving too fast? Or am I thinking about too much that is not even here yet, or stuff that isn't going to even exist, and not actually enjoying this moment? Because we're all victims to that. We all worry about things that haven't happened. We all worry about things that aren't going to happen, but we're human, and we end up, focusing in sometimes on the anxiety-ridden stuff. But when we kind of take that step back and really focus in on what we have at the moment and really enjoy that for what it is, like we all do when we're at shows, because when we're at shows, we're at concerts, nothing matters except that moment that's in front of us right then and there. It's a beautiful thing, and in a song, not only did you encapsulate that perfectly for what can be done in a live show, but for when people listen to it, how it's going to impact them and really make them think about just what's in front of them and the beauty that's there, whether it's time with your friends, time with your family, time with your significant other, doing something you love, doing something for somebody you love, or just enjoying life because it's your life and you're in it. There's so much positive that can come from this song, and it hit me in such a way, and I'm glad I really took time to really focus in on it the day I got back from Louder Than Life after having 4 days just hanging with my friends and not having a care in the world except for what was going on right then and there.
Hell yeah, man. I'm glad that it really, resonated with you. That means the world.
It did. I mean, when we were writing it, it did that for me. So
if it did that for you while you were writing the song and it did that for us as listeners, then boom, trust your taste. Trust what you want to do, because we get stuff
really.
like this to happen.
Exactly.
I love it.
And
That's
I'm
sick.
even more jazzed up because, of course, there's 2 other songs that you released as singles with Cold Day in Hell and Hanging On by a Thread, but you mentioned there was a new EP coming?
So those 3 songs are part of an EP. The 4th song comes out on October 22nd. It's called Broken Glass. And then the final 2 will be another song called Medicine and a stripped down version of one of the songs on the EP. Yeah. So the EP is called Beauty and the Breakdown, and will be out all together in the beginning of the year. And we're stoked on it. Are you stoked on it?
I'm stoked on it. No, Beauty and the Breakdown was and all we had, all these songs, they're part of a bigger concept of studying the human condition, that no one's safe from grief or anxiety or overthinking. It's like we're actually all way more alike than you could possibly imagine. And so through the course of, you start in A Cold Day in Hell and you end with Medicine, through the course of the the record, the EP, you kind of feel all of those different things that you go through on the hero's journey of being human here and on the floating space rock, and how we're doing our best. So, Beauty and the Breakdown is like you feel pain, and it teaches you something. Like through that contrast, the roses can grow, but you gotta allow yourself to not judge it, to not chase your anxiety down the wrong holes, and
Don't Google your symptoms.
Don't Google your
Yeah.
symptoms.
Don't Google your symptom. That's a very, very, very bad idea.
You can get that tattooed on you. Don't Google your symptoms.
First tattoo right here. Just don't Google your symptoms.
Yes.
Just the full arm. It's like, yep, I'm starting my sleeve. What does it say? And I just show it like
Don't
this.
Google it.
Honestly, I might have to come to the show on November 15th. Even if without a tattoo, I'm just gonna maybe write it in Sharpie and be like,
That'd be
hey.
hilarious.
Fuck yeah. That'd be sick.
It would be funny as hell, but it makes sense, and I love the idea of the hero's journey of just being human, because like you said, I think you said it perfectly. We all go through grief, we all go through these different things that make us feel isolated and alone. But the fact of the matter is we all go through this stuff, so we're not alone in it. A lot of people deal with this stuff, and we deal with it because we're human, so we're all together in it. And through your music as well, it also still hits as on that safe place for people from all walks of life to come to feel accepted, to be seen, and to be celebrated just for who they are, being human. It absolutely hits on that idea and absolutely hits on that mindset. And you listen to your music and it evokes that same emotion as well continuously. So, yeah, like, I don't know where else to go with that, but it's just, it continues to make me happy just not only seeing the music that you're creating, hearing it, and seeing the reaction from it, but how it actually is truly hitting people, and how it just took me completely aback when I listened to All We Had. It was, I don't know. I just couldn't be happier talking to both of you right now about this. Like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it's in the world. I'm so glad that it finally hit your eardrums, and I'm glad that you know, like you resonated with it, and that you've been an advocate for us and the tunes that we're making even before this EP, and we're excited to keep pumping them out and sharing the art.
Well, no, I was an advocate before these songs came out, before the EP was even known, but now I'm going to be an advocate for these songs with the EP, and in the future continue to be an advocate for Rose Colored World, because this is good stuff. Plus, I've had you in the podcast twice. You know I'm going to, every chance I get to bring Rose Colored World on the podcast, I'm going to make it happen. Like, let's just keep this rolling. Let's keep this going.
Yeah, every year we got to do an update.
Oh, we can do that. I've got a number of bands that I always want to do an episode with every single year. It's always in my head. I'm just going to have to add you to the list now.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Hell yeah.
I'm absolutely down for that. We already got 2023 down. We got 2024 down. Let's not, 2025, I can't have that long of a time period in between. So it'll be shorter between the 2 and 3 instead of 1 and 2.
Yes.
Oh,
I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
I can't believe it either, but at the same time, time moves pretty fast. Or was it life moves pretty fast? You don't stop and look around a while, you might miss it.
You sure will miss it.
So let's not miss it. But
I think
Addison,
I might have missed the whole first tour. I don't know if Ad was there one day.
I was on stage.
He was on stage and he killed it up there.
That's about it.
that's about it. Well, totally worth it. But Addison, I've got one more question for both of you, if you are up for it, because this question has stumped some people, but I'm curious to see what the answer is going to be from the two of you. Okay.
Okay.
I've asked this question for over a year now to every artist I bring on the podcast. It's a way for us as music lovers to get to know more new music that we should be knowing, but a chance for you to let us know the music that you love. So between the two of you, can you name me 3 bands or artists that you love that you would love to see more people get into?
Well, definitely Bad Luck.
Yeah, Bad Luck from Brooklyn, man.
Bad Luck, they were direct support on the last tour. Nicest guys, even better musicians. Really just is the real deal rock band, and they couldn't have been sweeter to us and teaching us things since they've been on the road for so long. Trying to think of
I just got into this band called Flycatcher. And they have a song called Soda in the Freezer, or Sodas in the Freezer. It just came up on like a curated thing. Thank you, Spotify. And I can't stop listening to it. I just think the writing is so good. It has like an old Weezer thing to it, but then it also has like a shoegaze thing, and I'm very much into it. So Flycatcher.
and I think we'll give our good friend Feelers a shout out. Our good friend Austin has a band called Feelers. They fucking rip. It's like garage punk. So yeah, check
They're
them out
rocking.
too.
Well, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, because there's been like 60% of the people I asked that to just are like, oh my God, I have no idea what to say. Let me pull up Spotify real quick and see what
I
I've been
feel like
listening
we've been
to.
listening to a lot of new shit.
I am such a nerd. I showed Addison for the first time, I think, recently. I'm like, I don't think you understand how many playlists I have. Like, they're all perfectly organized for different, like, because there's some things I want to listen to before a session or before I create, and there's different things in the morning, and there's different, if I'm in a shoegazy kind of mood. So I have all of my playlists. I'm very nerdy with it. And when I'm adding new bands, I'm like very attention to detail with it.
You should also be curating playlists at this point if you're that like attention to detail about it.
I have
very
thought
curious to
about
see.
like, I don't know, in
Yeah, you
the
should make
future.
one.
Yeah, like it, well, yeah, we'll see, where that ends up. But I thought I was like really curated until I saw an interview of Dylan Minnette from the Wallows, the lead singer of the Wallows.
Mhm.
So he actually has an Excel spreadsheet for like per year that he makes of all bands, and it's like color organized of like what it does to, it's really wild, just so that he doesn't ever lose songs and things that he loves. which I thought was just like so bananas. So I thought I was
I
like,
don't got the time for that.
well, apparently Dylan
You got
Minnette,
that 13 Open Blind money.
he's got the time for it.
Yeah, I'd love to have the time for that too, but I've got all my time wrapped up in my full-time job and doing the things I love like this and going to shows and spending time with family and friends. I don't even have time for myself. I don't have time to make a curated playlist and go through that.
He's
But
really
hats off to anybody that can do it. But you might want to give it a try, Ray, because if you're able to hit on so many different ideas and emotions just in playlist form, you might be able to do something with that really takes off. And then we'll have another tweet from State of the Scene that says, "Hey, we found this great playlist and we featured the band that curated this playlist back in February of 2023. So let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it going."
That would be funny, man. Yeah.
That'd be sick.
So I'm expecting that to happen in the next 10 days.
Yeah,
We got to keep the trend rolling here.
Come on, let's go.
Yeah, that was like right away.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, well, maybe in the 10 days, all we had will pop off on State of the Scene, or the new song comes out on the 22nd. Maybe that'll be the one. Who knows?
We create as we speak, my friend. So I'll take all the good vibes.
Take all the good vibes and rose-colored world's way because they absolutely deserve it. And now I'm gonna end this episode with 3 things. First off, when it comes to rose-colored world, you want to make sure you get in the know with them. You want to make sure you're following along with them. State of the Scene approved them back in 2023. So we approved them back in 2023 too, because
that's right.
Why wouldn't you? And now you have the chance to prove it in 2024. So go to the script of the podcast where it says Find Rose Colored World online. Links and labels for everything going to be down there, for where you can follow them online, where you can check out all their music, where you can be prepared for when the new EP, Beauty and the Breakdown, releases, when more music gets released, and where you can find them play live as well, because they're going out with Not My Weekend in November of 2024. You're going to want to go see a show and maybe have everyone have tattooed on your arms, "Don't Google your symptoms." And if no one else does it, I'm going to do it because that just sounds like a fun time. Now it's time for number 2. Addison and Rae, when I had you on the podcast the first time, I said, when I see you perform live for the first time, first round's on me. Of course, I have not seen you perform live yet, but come November, you will find me at some point at the merch table to say hi, and first 2 rounds are on me now because you've been on the podcast twice.
Take it, man.
We appreciate it.
You're so sweet.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It is my way to say thank you and to continue to support the band. And now it's time for number 3. I cannot end this by saying goodbye. I always enjoy talking to you both. I enjoy always seeing the success that is coming your way and is going to continue to come your way. Plus, Addison, you brought it up. We're going to have to do a yearly thing about this now. We've done 2023, 2024. 2025 is going to happen with Rose Colored World. So you're going to be back on the podcast. I'm going to see you in November. So I want to thank you both for taking the time. But as always, this is not goodbye. This is, I'll see you later.
I'll see you later.
Much love,
you for
man.
having us.
Well, folks, this is my interview with Addison and Rae from Rose Colored World. Now it's time for Kevin's final thoughts. So when they were talking about their music, specifically when Rae said one major thing that she learned over the course of time was to trust her own taste. And not only trust her taste as a musician, along with Addison's taste as musicians, but as collaborators as well, has set the band out for great things. I mean, take a look at what's happened ever since we brought them on the podcast 2023. New record label, opening slots for big bands like Sum 41. They've gone on tour as well, and they've learned from all these great bands on how to make sure that each show evokes that positive emotion and how the songs are being presented in a way that they want to present them with their taste, but they also want a producer that understands their vision, understands what they want to go for, and is able to hone in on it perfectly. So they've done so much and put out so much good in this world, not only from what they've learned from the music business, but also for who they are as people and what their music shows and what their music evokes. This band is going so many great places, and you should go check them out if you haven't. Check out all the music if you haven't. I'm an advocate for this band. I'm an advocate for Rose Colored World. If you are not checking them out, you should. If you have checked them out and you're like, it's just not for me, I understand, but give them another shot. If you're into them, oh yeah. So go and check them out when Beauty and the Breakdown comes out sometime in 2025, early 2025. Not My Weekend. They're touring with the band. in November 2024. Go see him play live. Remember, don't Google your symptoms. I'm going to write on my arm for the Chicago show, so come and join me. When it comes to Rose Colored World, go to the description of the podcast where it says Find Rose Colored World online. Links, labels for everything. You're going to be down there. Be sure to check them out. Be sure to follow along with them. Also, hit subscribe to the Chord Progression Podcast right down here on YouTube. Hit the follow button on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like these episodes, I'll push in the algorithm. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Links to the podcast below. Thank you, Addison. Thank you, Ray. We're running it back again in 2025. On that note, that's going to be it, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one of us. Big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah.